We'll see what it is that they want to adjust, though. Picks and bans for game number 2 are ready. Rival will be in that first pick spot as well. And we know already that their bans are likely going to be dictated for them. It's really this first pick for Rival that's very interesting. You know, where are they going to be going with this Terra right away? Fineokay has been a popular first pick. Bacchus. Where are they going to try and find some kind of pressure so that Knights can't just do what they want for 30 minutes?
I still think that Rival had a lot of really strong components in their last composition. I like the Fineokay, I like the Alposh, and I like the Terra.
Right.
Fafnir and Robin, I think that there's some wiggle room here for Rival to make some adjustments, and the Bologna ban out I think is a really important shot because
he went Hunter's Blessing too, didn't he, on that
yes.
Bologna to start?
Deathwalker wasn't trying to do anything except kill people at the start of the last game when you go Hunter's Blessing Bologna, because he sacrificed a decent amount of what could have been protections or even some sustain if he'd gone for the Warrior's Blessing, but nope, had to go Hunters, just holding that W key.
Yeah, I thought the idea was it would help him in that early skirmish, but really I thought Rival were coming out on top of, and maybe that's what scared them off of it eventually. As Rival goes back to this Fafnir, Taco, they've really prioritized this pick. They like having PolarBearMike on this Fafnir. They like what the Draconic Corruption can do, but I mean, is this a first pick overall type of value they're going to get?
I don't think so, personally,
right.
but I mean that's the personal take. I think that when it comes to players and their preferences, one of the main reasons why Rival is kind of forced into this Fafnir strip away is because otherwise EmilZy would take it. So
for sure
I don't think it's necessarily that Mike wants this Fafnir, or that Rival particularly wants this Fafnir so much as it is that you don't want to allow Pittsburgh Knights to have it.
And not if they're going to go these strategies they've gone so far. They went a little bit away from them, I would say, here today, which was a possibility. They said that they were mindful that Rival were going to watch back those VODs and strategize against that. So maybe there is some slight adjustment in their strategies, but you're right. If they were to default back to what we saw in Week 1, Fafnir would be key to it, accelerating those attack speed characters. But right now, the Knights are on the Achilles and back on the Naja, aggressive right from minute 1.
Take out the Bologna, well, you give Deathwalker the next best option then. It's going to be that Achilles almost every single time. I don't want to say every single time because Deathwalker, he does like to mix it up a little bit. So he's not really someone that I ever like to determine picks for.
It's tough
I'll put
to
it
know
that
what
way.
he's going to do. Yeah.
But the Fineokay coming back into play here, that doesn't really surprise me. I think that Fineokay is going to be an extremely important asset as far as trying to control more of that map space in general. I think that Rival definitely got shut off from a lot of different jungle pathways and even just general rotational swings that they couldn't really do because Pittsburgh Knights were just so controlling of every single part of that map in the last game.
Interesting, the Erlong Shen now going to come through for Rival. This was banned away last time, but I think that was in that second banned phase, so they passed on it last time. This time they grabbed it while they had the opportunity. This should give them a nice jungle presence who has a little bit of extra control, who can do plenty of damage on their own as well, and they still got this scary dual lane between the Fafnir and the Fineokay with plenty of team fighting presence. So Rival can fight, yes, but this still again feels like a draft that's going to want a few items online to really start swinging home. I don't know if Knights are going to give them that time.
Knights might not give them that time, but I think that Erlang is going to be able to buy a decent amount of it, at least if it's CaptainTwig on the Erlang Shen,
right.
Because this also allows PandaCat, I think, to pick a slightly more aggressive mid laner, maybe like the Isis that we saw from yesterday.
That's
we
right,
still haven't seen a whole lot of Agni, which it definitely baffles me for sure, but I think it's mostly because of the fact that
I don't think we've seen any Agni.
PandaCat might not. I think the teams that have played so far don't have mid laners that really tend to prioritize. I think the only one that maybe I can recall playing Agni actively would be like Hurrywin.
Yeah, Hurrywin definitely would have played some Agni before, though we haven't seen it just yet here in Season 6. But there's so many things to pick from now. We're over 100 gods, though not all of them available just yet to be played at the competitive level. So no surprise that some of them slip by, as you call it, the Isis banned away to limit some of these options for PandaCat in the middle lane. I keep wondering if we might potentially see maybe like a magical jungler so that we can put PandaCat on a physical hunter and let him be comfortable there too.
Twig could maybe flex into the magical jungle, but I think the problem with magical jungle against Pittsburgh Knights is that when they already have the Achilles, Naja, and Raijin, that is such a strong core as is that
very
I
scary.
don't think you can really afford to take a magical jungle with such low pressure level 1 into this trio, because they're just going, Pittsburgh Knights are just going to abuse that, I feel, really heavily. AO is probably the only magic jungler I think that really comes to mind, but even then, he's not really all that favored as far as high-level competitive play is concerned, typically because of what I just mentioned, just so much more punishing or punishable at the early start. But Serket now is a really interesting pickup here for Twig, or possibly Twig. I don't know. Rival might be feeling, you know, frisky for a little bit of some jankiness, but
I'd be surprised if it wasn't for Twig. Yeah.
But Deathbane is the main reason why I think
It's
the
great
Serket
confirmed,
is
yeah.
really important, because it's going to be a strong deterrence factor, I think, for Pittsburgh Knights to not want to look for that level 1 speed buff invade, and might even give Rival some more leeway to be more successful on their actual attempt towards invades.
It should make things a little bit easier for Rival to try and defend if Pittsburgh Knights want to aggress into their jungle yet again. Hachiman rounded out that first pick for them out of the second ban phase for the Knights to put in the Hunter role, as Habwa comes in for Rival as well. And this is looking like a Habwa mid, a bit of a Paul special coming through for PandaCat this time, and the immediate Susano lock-in from the Knights, adapting, had the Arachne open to him if that's what he wanted, had the Kali, Bakasura was banned away, but no, my man wanted the Susano yet again to round out in the Knights draft.
I think adapting needed something that had a little bit of setup capabilities there for Zyrhoes on the mid lane, but I think this Rival draft is probably going to fare better, but it's feast or famine. That's the problem that I'm seeing right now for Rival.
Can they find that feast here this time, or will they go down 0-2? We're about to find out. Let's get it over to the casters for that second game.
Well, I'm certainly hungry for game number 2. Aggro, how you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Not as good as you are, because Tom literally screamed whenever the Hebo was locked in for Team Rival. Yeah, that's totally off-brand for you. No one will expect that
I
at
never
all.
get excited about anything.
Ever.
Nope.
Definitely not. No.
But if I were to be an excitable person,
Right.
the Hebo pick would excite me. He was a dynamic character, but it's also... Remember last game how I was saying how we're feeling out PandaCat's sort of god pool and playstyle with respect to mid?
Sure.
Hebo strikes me as a PandaCat god. Last game I got heated. We just saw him sit in the back and go, all right, I'll off-wash ult sometime. No, I expect PandaCat just in your face, water hands in, and I want to see it all day.
At the same time, there's a reason that Hebo rarely sees competitive play in mid lane.
I won't hear it.
Only one of the best in the league has any sort of regular success with it. So we'll see if PandaCat can emulate that from Paul. And I gotta say, I'm a little skeptical right off the bat. I don't love the book rush. I think Bancroft's talent. I see it all the time, and people ask me a lot. When do you go book? When do you go Bancrofts? You go Bancrofts whenever you're going to be in the thick of the team fight. Also on Soul, because it works on our auto attacks really much better than most other mages. But when you're going to be in the middle of the fights, you want Bancrofts to give yourself that sustain, that burst potential. I don't know about this book rush. I think that Bancrofts would have been better.
EmilZy certainly wishes he had a little bit of help. Distracting the opposition, the slowdown button coming out from both teams. But EmilZy gets stunned, and PandaCat gonna hit him with the 1 and a little bit of the dash, and Fineokay gets the first blood. Very anticlimactic first blood.
But I don't think Deathwalker went and did the speed. I thought that was going to be the game plan. So first of all, the picks going a little bit odd directions. After such a perfect game from EmilZy last game, they decided to not give him the Naja yet again. And then they give Fineokay the Serket and CaptainTwig the Erlong Shen. Serket solo with Guardian's Blessing. He's really looking to just passively sit in this lane and let it clear itself, but Twig's in some trouble now. Has 70 transformations. I wasn't sure which ability he had, but this Serket pick is one that seems a bit risky to me.
It's interesting because I think Serket solo, sure. Serket solo against an Achilles, I don't know if I love Guardian's Blessing there. I think if I'm playing Serket and I'm assuming Achilles is going into the solo lane, I think I want to kind of fight that a little bit. Fineokay gets lucky here, in my opinion, because Deathwalker is going to clear the wave more efficiently than Fine for the most part, and so the Guardian's Blessing, sure, I'm down. But very interesting thought process if Fine wasn't, or Fine was tricked, for sure.
I feel like it's almost well, I don't really want Warrior's Blessing, and I don't really want to rush Glad Shield.
Right,
or
just
anything
a
like that.
lack of option.
may as well just go Guardian's Blessing. I'll eventually stack it, and I'll eventually start getting more gold. It also gives me a little bit of inherent tankiness that otherwise I wouldn't have had. Also, it could be a God-specific thing. Forgive me, I haven't played a whole lot. Oh, Arkyll going 1v1 up against Vote.
And he's going to look forward. Vote doesn't have the dash just yet, but Arkyl's might come up a little bit sooner. Vote still running around the corner. There's the batter. Yeah. And there's the answer back. Pittsburgh Knights get the kill. Of course, after Team Rival have already found themselves on the board, so not the first blood, and because of that, they'll trail by about that much gold.
Arkyll playing really far forward in that lane and ended up looking pretty aggressive. That moment. Nice
Beautiful.
Double Cobra's kiss and gets around out of there. As I was about to say, forgive me, I haven't played a whole lot of Serket solo recently, so maybe with Deathbane at 5 points, you leave the archers at 1 health with a tank build. That means that it's pretty easy for your minions to clear them out and get to those Guardian's Blessing stacks. It can be a god-dependent thing. That's why I think, sometimes I think about like gods like Ho Yi that never fully clear the wave. I wonder if it's better to not go stacking items and just worry about getting more power right off the bat because it takes so long to stack them in a lot of situations.
We have seen the Blood Forge rush a couple of times here. EmilZy getting aggressed on by CaptainTwig. There's the root and some of the damage, but the answer back as the horrific goes both ways. Knock up from PandaCat. EmilZy's still on the run. There's the wet paper. And CaptainTwig going to be met up by Fineokay, and it's a 4-man split as EmilZy suffers the rack and gets taken out.
After 30-some minutes and no deaths in Game 1, he's had 2 in the first 3.5 in Game 2, and I wonder if Naja gets a little bit more survivability in those moments that he may have been able to utilize a bit more effectively. Either way, the Achilles falling behind early is not what you want, because Achilles is there to provide early damage. In the late game, he's there to make sure that you don't need to get someone all the way to 0, someone like a tanky Serket or even a Fafnir. You don't have to get all the way to 0. You can waterfall those executes pretty easily, but in the early game, you're hoping that he can be more aggressive. Taking 2 early deaths might put a hamper on that.
So here's PandaCat. Not a lot of mana for Zyrhoes and not a lot of HP either. And that's why we get excited for Hebo, baby! PolarBearMike with the fadeaway off of the assist from his old Hunter player. Man, you absolutely love to see it.
That is, that's what you're looking for with these two, that's for sure. Deathwalker now in a bunch of trouble. Fineokay catches the mid-ultimate, and we'll see you later.
Got him!
They're cool, they don't have to look. They just walk back to their lane. Rival, the biggest difference so far is that they get that early first blood, and it seems to just give them a little bit more momentum. They're the ones being aggressive now. They're the ones in the enemy jungle. Yes, Zyrhoes ends up killing himself because he uses all of his mana, but that's great recognition from PandaCat and PolarBearMike to play aggressive in that moment. This is what we need to see more of from Rival in Game 1. Hopefully they'll be able to continue it here in 2. This aggressive nature where they are the ones initiating.
Exactly. Fafnir is built to be an aggressive character with the way Coerce works and the way Draconic Corruption works and everything. He wants to be on the forefront of... He's not a Capri. Don't just sit in the back. You were asking for it last game, and of course, as a Guardian, you got to play both sides of the coin. PolarBearMike going to wind up tails here.
Maybe a little too aggressive, though, from Mike on that one.
I was just wrong spot. Wrong spot.
Yeah, jumping into oracles is not usually the call you're looking for, I'd say.
But my fact remains is that, like, you're going to if you're going to draft aggressive, play aggressive. And I think last time around the team was kind of split, and that this full double down feels like a training exercise. Like, okay, you guys aren't aggressive enough. Only assassins, and PolarBearMike can play Fafnir. Deal with that, you know. It's like when the coach says, "Oh, you guys want to run? All right, I'll make you run 7 laps, everyone. You got to double down." That's what it feels like right now. Slaney out there being like, "All right, I see it.
We'll make it work." Fineokay trying to make it work in the solo lane. Deathwalker takes the wide angle. He knows that really the only way he dies from that position is the auto attack, which would consume all the latent poisons that Fineokay had applied, dealing that extra bonus % damage. That's exactly what he needed, but great blink in, double blink. Deathwalker had the sash, but
Easy.
Only prolongs the inevitable. Another kill, 4-0 for Fineokay's Serket solo.
Love it. Absolutely love it. The Blackthorn Hammer even though it's got all the health in the world. 450, if I'm not mistaken. Just not enough to keep Deathwalker alive here so far. So an interesting look here. Pittsburgh Knights up in game 1. Game number 2, not so much.
Adapting, going one-on-one with CaptainTwig, but Twig uses the ultimate, so that's a win for Adapting. But now EmilZy stunned out, has to use Fatal Strike defensively, but PandaCat chases him down with the crushing wave. That's that aggression we were looking for.
Yeah, beautiful stuff there out of Team Rival, identifying the situation and getting right to it. 7-2 after that team fight. Team Rival. That's the big difference between game number 1 and game number 2 is their identification of windows of opportunity. You see Team Rival now getting aggressive one more time, chasing the opposition out. They want this Gold Fury.
This seems a little bit too risky. I think PolarBearMike trading his ultimate for Adapting's Purification Beads is a fine trade, but PandaCat rather, with some awfully aggressive pathing. Great patience by Zyrhoes brings PandaCat back in, and Adapting's gonna put him down.
No ultimate available from PandaCat means he's gonna be toasted in that situation. Deathwalker waiting for the option out of PBM and puts him down. And now Pittsburgh Knights are the ones looking at the Gold Fury. CaptainTwig a little furious about it because I don't think he's equipped to stop this, even with Arkyll here. There's the jump in from the solo lane Naja. CaptainTwig will be alive when he hits the ground, but EmilZy lying in wait. The Gold Fury goes to Pittsburgh.
Arkyll putting out a lot of good damage, and here comes Fineokay, misses the Cobra's Kiss, but last breath's available. Deathwalker will end up falling to that bleed. Vote's lurking, and he has mounted archery, but Arkyll playing it safe on the lack of lazy backing.
Oh, the blink is there, but Vote's got it.
Quick reaction time. Saves the beads. Always the better call. Use the ultimate instead of the beads every single time if you can help it. Good reaction by Vote.
Red buff invade. The fun don't stop. Team Rival looking to keep this one active as they should. EmilZy going to use the ultimate to get underneath the tier 1 tower. And this is what we talked about when we say pace of the game. You want to control the pace of the game. Team Rival's composition befits them to play this active. Zyrhoes wants to farm up a little bit. EmilZy wants to keep going. But just this is a situation that Rival aren't letting Pittsburgh Knights breathe. And I like that call.
I really like that Rival, despite losing that last team fight in Gold Fury, are still playing very aggressively, and Fineokay hasn't been back to solo in quite some time. Got the beads, last breath there.
That's it.
Arkyll going to be able to get his first kill, but it's all because of Fineokay, man. He has played so well so far this game.
That's Love Potion number 9. Let's take another look at some of the stuff that we've seen out of the squads. As we look at the replay real quick. This is going to be Adapting making his play here in the earlier spot of the game, and there's a dash forward, and this is how Pittsburgh Knights need to punish Team Rival. Team Rival has been very successful in getting plays off of this aggressive play, but Pittsburgh Knights have only punished it that one time.
This Gold Fury was all because of PandaCat's really aggressive pathing, and that opened up Pittsburgh Knights to really come back in this game where Rival was in a fairly commanding position. We'll have to wait and see if Rival can keep up that commanding position, though, because at this point, Knights have already evened it back up. In the XP department, it's actually in the lead for Adapting in the jungle. Though Twig has been a little bit behind Adapting all set, I'd say, so far. Still played well, though.
Gold Fury really turned things around. This was Rival's kind of spiral out of control game as they kept their foot on the gas. But with Pittsburgh Knights ensuring that last Gold Fury, that really kind of changed things for sure. As we're tied up here at 11 minutes.
Shoutouts to Frostyak. That's the Frosty combo right there. You pre-charge the Typhoon, then go in there and set yourself up with your own damage. That's the way you do it. Adapting, making it look easy.
Team Rival now should not be deterred. They've lost a couple of skirmishes here, but this is absolutely a composition in a game that you gotta take a punch and give a punch at the same damn time. So PandaCat, I need to see stay aggressive. So the blue boots, the cooldown boots, work with the Book of Thought. They have some extra mana on them. I'm interested in your thoughts.
I think almost every game that you're going Book of Thoth, you should probably go cooldown boots. The only exceptions would be if you really aren't for whatever reason, and I can't ever think of one, that you wouldn't be going pen third.
Right.
You would need pen boots, but you should be getting pen third.
Well, CaptainTwig now dealing with EmilZy, and Zyrhoes going to provide some help from the left-hand side. Nice block from Fineokay again, who's playing out of his mind. Twig will fall to the wayside, but I'm still hung up on Fino.
Animal, man. He just absolute beast. Mike said it yesterday. There's going to be a dude who's going to surprise us. It's going to be Fineokay.
Yup.
He wasn't wrong. Stop him when he's wrong, because he's not so far. Fineokay played really, really well all day yesterday, and now again today. He played well in the Terra game. He's playing absolutely lights out on this Circuit so far.
Man, I hate to be the guy that says I told you so. No, I'm not. No, I don't. But I've been sitting here since Fino took the field, man. There's something about this guy, and I love watching him play. It is always exciting. It's great. I think he's going to be real strong here in Season 6.
Off to a good start, but he's hoping that his team can follow suit in that strong start. The rest of Rival, and again, I don't think it's been an individual performance by anybody. I'd say that so far, Arkyll's been a little bit underwhelming, as has CaptainTwig, but trying to remedy that now on the right-hand side. Deathwalker doesn't have that ultimate. And last breath alongside those Erlong Shen autos chunking. Deathwalker should have his ultimate up soon, though. He is not going to be able to escape in time. Literally, his ultimate just came up, by the way. It was within a second.
7-0-1. Insanity. Still a tie game, though. Team Rival inching forward ever so slightly. And Adapting going to punish Fineokay for being a little bit too far forward. But Fino going to turn it around. The jump above the Typhoon. And he ain't done yet.
That was
CaptainTwig from the front side. Fineokay.
My man is dialed in right now, and EmilZy wants some more, and Fineokay says, yeah, I'll take this one too. Woo! Ends up getting out of that Fatal Strike range, and EmilZy might be going back to base the hard way, but just not quite enough damage coming from PandaCat and the rest of Team Rival to send him packing. But
good rotation.
Man, Fine is doing it all right now for Rival.
So if you're gonna pick a Circuit support, or excuse me, a Circuit solo, I'm gonna say fine. But you know what? At 15 minutes, you have to double everybody's player damage. And he goes, okay. 11,000 to 5,000, number 1 and 2, as Arkyll makes easy work of Zyrhoes. With a couple of kills on the right, a single kill on the left. Team Rival, again, identify the window of opportunity, look for the Oni, and do just that.
Great stun by PBM. EmilZy gets CC'd and put down easily 3 in a row now for Arkyll.
He's mad.
That's all PBM that was getting it done. 2 dead, and this could be Pyromancer, or I wonder if Rival's just going to risk it and go for fire.
EmilZy is not very happy right now. As soon as he got stunned, he starts barking. I think that conversation is about lack of rotation. His team isn't where he's been. 1, 6, and 5 for the support player in 15 minutes. It's not a nice slash line, and you got to be thinking what's going on in the minds of Pittsburgh Knights.
They're trying to figure out how they can get back in the game, and the good news for them is that there is that potential, I still think. I mean, look at the last lead that Rival had in this game. All it takes is PandaCat with bad pathing, PolarBearMike dies to try and save him, and all of a sudden the Knights get another lead. And right now, that was the Oni Fury that just went down for Team Rival. And that's okay at this point in the game. I love that Rival starting the group, though right as I say that, they spread out yet again. With Oni, you need to immediately group and start pushing right away in order to incentivize either a 3v5 in wherever lane you're pushing, or the enemy team to let an Oni wave go uncontested, and that didn't happen. So that's inherently worse than just getting an outright Gold Fury. I don't think that Rival going for Pyromancer, even though that's the right call, in the sense that you want a team fight by gold, they won't be able to defend that. It almost ends up handicapping them because they spend so much time doing that. It wasn't that long, but it's long enough to transfer over that you end up not being able to capitalize off your extra waves.
They're trying to punish Fino. A nice play by Adapting, but it's just not going to be enough. Fino falls down to the hand of Deathwalker. All by himself. PolarBearMike a little bit late to the party here. So not going to be able to save the solo Circuit, and she falls down for the first time in this contest.
Big shutdown bonus as well for Deathwalker, I'm sure. Just got a big infusion of golden experience into the bank.
You know, you were talking about Pittsburgh Knights having a lot of nice choices when it comes down to the late game. I'm looking at you, Zyrhoes. I'm looking at you, EmilZy. But the problem is, as this game gets later and later, rival one knockup from PandaCat becomes even more scary.
Yes.
So, sure, Pittsburgh Knights have some tools, but I mean, late game Hebo. That's fun.
Yeah, misses the hammer, but a blink taunt hits onto 2. CaptainTwig chases out the beads from Adapting, and Adapting's in a lot of trouble. He's going to need to use some more defensive options, but Twig ends up giving up the chase because the rest of rivals stopped in mid.
And Pittsburgh Knights going to coalesce on CaptainTwig. Half HP, there's a ring toss and the execute. EmilZy with the second kill of the game. PandaCat uses the ultimate to get out of trouble there. Do you like that play?
Yes, I mean, it's always better to extend the ultimate and live than hold it and die, or use it aggressively and still die. But I just think that Rival seems a little bit disconnected on where they want to be at times. I think that as soon as Mike misses that hammer, his thought process is, okay, well, this fight just got thrown a little bit, let's back it up. But Twig doesn't seem particularly deterred. So Twig blinks in, continues to play aggressive, but Mike is now peeling for PandaCat in the mid lane. This just feels like new team woes to me. You know, these are things that eventually get ironed out. It's just we're in week 1 or week 2 overall, but week 1 of their gameplay, and so it's not easy to be able to stay consistent.
The 2v1 again here on the duo side of things. Fineokay knocked up and in trouble, but this time around, PandaCat's here much earlier than PBM showed up last time. Up top comes Arkyll using the dash to get closer. There's the wet paper, slowing down Deathwalker, and Arkyll with the branching bola takes down DW.
Arkyll's been rotating really early and often so far this game, and he's been able to be rewarded because of that. 4-1 and 5, and has been involved in quite a few kills for Team Rival. Arkyll looking much more comfortable this game, but it's felt like he's been a little bit off so far. He's had good moments. He's had his builds yesterday left a little bit to be desired, but I think Arkyll was eventually going to have one of these games that you go, oh yeah, it's Arkyll. It's Arkyll. And this feels like one of them.
The crit strike. It's interesting because this is why everything is dynamic in Smite. Same build as yesterday, but against this comp, much more successful. Team Rival looking at the tier 1 tower right now, halfway done. Crit's just a little bit more effective against a team of assassins than yesterday where we saw double Guardian. It was a little bit rough for Arkyll to get his damage dealt. Right now, 7,400.
Arkyll's always, Zapman and Ataraxia kind of get the name for the Stranger Hunter build. Zap usually more traditional, but still a little bit off what everyone else is doing. Arkyll always goes his build, man. No matter what. I'm interested to see if the new Aussie and new Ikaval will actually end up changing what he's building.
Yeah.
I feel like Arkyll's been building the same thing for 2 years now.
Hunter's one of those positions that you can, do I want to say get away with that? I think when you're playing carry, it's a little bit more cut and dry.
Arkyll gets knocked up, has the relics. They're a little bit late, Adapting, able to put him down, but PandaCat able to answer back pretty easily. Nice little juke from CaptainTwig, and now Panda's going aggressive, but Deathwalker follows him with the ultimate.
Really nice play there from the Windfire Wheels, but EmilZy's waiting. PandaCat on the bottom. CaptainTwig grabbed up by the sash, and PolarBearMike trying to do what he can to body block. Looks like that's going to be that. A 2-for-1 in the direction of Pittsburgh Knights. Zyrhoes under the tower. Fineokay trying to make this a 2-for-2, and he'll just about get it. Number 17, number 8. For Fino, personally.
Man, almost half the kills so far for Rival still on the Serket solo. That fight was going really well for Rival. I've got no issues with PandaCat's decision-making in that position. Go aggressive. You're playing Habwa, you eventually have to do it. But just a better individual play by Deathwalker. He did the calculations. He had the geometry perfectly lined up, playing with it, and he ended up landing an insane Naja ult that ends up saving vote.
That for sure is an SPL play. I think virtually any other battlefield, the Hebo gets a double kill there.
Yep.
But Deathwalker just, man, on the money. On the money with this Naja as we make it to the mid and the late game more accurately. Level 18. Early game, Deathwalker probably doesn't want to watch that tape back. But hopefully he does. That's how you improve. But here in the late game, Naja is certainly doing what he's supposed to do.
Rival and Knights posturing to get this Gold Fury, the traditional Gold Fury, but Fineokay isn't here. Remember, he didn't go teleport this game. He has Blink and Thorns.
I like that. The Thorns, maybe I'll discuss later, but I like the lack of teleport. Gold Fury down to about 10, and this will be Knights unless something crazy happens, and it will be. PolarBearMike on the run. Team Rival are going to chase this, but I don't like this call. They're a little spread out here.
But Fineokay is coming. CaptainTwig's doing a good job keeping multiple members of the Pittsburgh Knights busy. Fineokay never gets a chance to get involved. It seemed to me like Rival didn't really expect Knights to full commit to that Gold Fury. Arkyll's holding on to his ultimate. If he were really concerned, I think he could have popped that at any time and forced at least a slightly longer reset. Rival just seemed like, oh, they wouldn't do it. They know Fineokay's not here, but they wouldn't do it.
Oh, I like this play now. Team Rival identify the Pittsburgh Knights are split up, and this is what Rival are going to excel at, finding the pick and poking it out. 18 for Team Rival.
Less than 5 seconds left on Vote's beads when he just got CC chain. That is always a feel bad.
The worst. Deathwalker down on the bottom, the rest of the Knights up top. There's a 4-on-5. There's a knock-up. There's a pin. Deathwalker in trouble. Half HP surrounded by Rival jerseys. Fineokay puts him down. And now, continuing on versus EmilZy. Here's the dash forward. Got in front of him. Fineokay.
He's so sick.
He gets the kill aggressively, and then he helps his team gets the kill via being the utility man. What more can you ask for?
He's so sick.
He jumped over.
He's so sick and so cool, and I want him to be my friend.
Man, he wears the freshest gear.
He really does. Eats at the coolest restaurants.
The sickest girls. Everything.
He's got it all. Rival gets the Fire Giant. Fine. Totally fine. In the mid lane. This is the Rival that I think we were all expecting to see a little bit more of in the game one of this set. Arkyll's having a much better game this time around. Middle of the player damage charts, but he's been able to stay a little bit safer in these team fights. He's had some weird positioning moments so far in Season 6 that seem to be a little bit better this game. PandaCat is doing what he needs to be doing in the mid lane, putting out the damage, being a focal point and living is a big thing. And Habwa kites so well between the carpet and the knock-up and his ultimate. You have a hard time locking him down sometimes, even despite the lack of traditional movement ability. Panda's played well. Mike has played well. Fineokay has obviously been playing out of his mind. And Twig has been there with the CC when necessary.
For me, I think it's, you were talking about earlier, new team blues. PolarBearMike not going to feel good about this one. Brought to the sky, but able to jump away. EmilZy on the back line could be in trouble. There's a transformation out of the support player, but that's a lot to be dealing with PolarBearMike and not even get the kill.
He's alive. EmilZy used the ultimate at some other point. I didn't even see when he used it, but he doesn't have it now and doesn't have to worry about it because he's on the respawn for 48 seconds. Quick little heal from PBM nearly saved his life there. That ring toss might have done him in.
But so Team Rival, you were talking about how a lot of, what we saw in game number 1 was new team blues, lack of communication, etc. Well, there's two things. Everybody thinks about the synergy when it comes to a new team, but there's also team identity. What is it? Is your team going to be a weird team like Mouse was last year? Is your team going to be a defensive team or an offensive? What's your deal? I think Rival are realizing that they are going to be an aggressive-oriented squad. Both yesterday and today, we're seeing stark differences between playing defensively and Rival winding up on the losing end. And while they haven't won this game yet, and it's only a 6,000 gold difference, they certainly feel more. There's a lot more momentum in Rival sales right now.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I would consider last year's Rival team very defensive.
Yes.
Their defense was great. They'd let you get a lead, but they would get their own lead. It's not like they would lose every early game, but they excelled on the defensive. I think that this year's Rival squad should be aggressive. I really like the idea of them just running it down every game because they've got the opportunity to do it.
And they can do this. Fino blinks forward, finds the taunt, gets an ultimate, and now adapting can't be a part of the fight. Rival are going to identify and isolate Deathwalker. Another zigzag, he's in trouble.
I think a lot of people would have ulted in that position, but Deathwalker ends up holding on to it. That's such a critical part of Pittsburgh Knights offense. They need that to be up at any given opportunity.
Also, if he ults, he's ulting in traffic, so he's probably hitting somebody.
Wow, Vote just beads again. Fineokay all by himself, pulls out another set. Had the blink.
He's been doing it.
This game has Fineokay's stamp all over it, man.
Without a doubt. It's so impressive to watch. It really has been something else, especially. I think a lot of people, not to toss shade at you, I think a lot of people were like, Serket support, Guardian, you know what? Okay, show it to me, prove it. But yeah, he's doing it. He's proving it.
The one role where I've always been the most flexible.
Solo.
No, is support. I think that support, you can. There's lots of characters. I remember talking about Fenrir support in Season 3.
Oh, yeah.
Lot. It took a lot of buffs in order for him to get there, but that's because I was part of the school of Brochacho, where he wanted to play Naja and Fenrir every game.
I mean, Naja, so I was going to bring up Naja as well.
Right. So that's been the one. And Serket, I think, has always had really good potential there. Protrat on the one, great CC, true damage. You can do it for sure. And so why not put it in solo lane? The only difference is usually it's because she has horrible wave clear.
Right.
But against a Naja who's really just trying to fight you anyways and clear the wave incidentally by way of ring toss, you go Guardian's Blessing, you just wait for her to clear it, and then you're good to go. You can sit around and just let your Guardian's Blessing stack up. I don't know how much I love this Lono's mask that Fineokay just picked up, though. He's been so much damage for Rival, and I think that inherently you lose a little bit of that fear you instill in the enemy team by reducing your damage by 25%.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough, especially seeing way up top there, right? Maybe the idea is I'm so far ahead I can do it. Fineokay, giddy up! Riding on the horse like Vote. Jumping on the back line. Not going to be enough damage, but the surge forward is still here, and Team Rival could get punished now.
Arkyll was pretty far forward. CaptainTwig coming around the back. He ends up getting sashed. Deathwalker still has that ultimate. Remember, he didn't go blink. He has beads this game alongside his teleport, so he's got no way to close that gap quickly. Could have been spooky, and already have to eat my words, because if Fineokay doesn't have Lonos in that position, he is absolutely dead.
Sure.
Maybe Vote is as well, but I think that even 28 minutes in, it's not often that I'll say that someone's a higher value than a Hunter when it's Fire Giant time, but Fineokay just might be.
Right now I'm looking at Pittsburgh Knights and how they answer Team Rival. Down about 10,000 gold, but starting to become irrelevant here. I want to see Pittsburgh Knights be a little bit more aggressive now that they've waited out this monstrous mid-game from Rival.
I will say that Zyrhoes' Raijin in Game 1 was very low on player damage throughout the majority of the game. Game 2, it hasn't been particularly inspiring either. I think Knights need a little bit more from their mid laner if they want to come back in this game.
A rare underperforming Zyrhoes game here. Pittsburgh Knights watching as Team Rival bring the Fire Giant down to 40%. PandaCat on the right-hand side looking for the flank. There's the carpet to knock him as good as well, and EmilZy half HP so far.
Ooh, Twig just a little bit too late on that ultimate. Misses that, but a good stun from PBM. Chain stun's there off the knock-up, and EmilZy is dead. Poison spreads to Zyrhoes, but Fineokay will finally take a spill.
Now, Deathwalker on the good side of that one. Trouble for Arkyll. The
Goodbye.
Aegis is strong, but Vote! The horse is in the front! Gets him with the ultimate, and Deathwalker bounces to the backhand side as Vote gets punished for the aggressive ultimate. PandaCat does exactly what the Hebo was drafted for. 2 for 3 so far. Rival shoving Pittsburgh Knights and punishing them for playing aggressively.
This is the exact style of character that PandaCat is very used to.
Yup.
This a late game, just absolute animal. He takes down Deathwalker nearly without any sort of help at all. PBM did a good job of finishing off Vote as well, but PandaCat really doing good work in that last team fight. And when you know that Arkyll is going to be getting focused consistently in these team fights, that's where having a strong mid laner does so much for your team composition. You have to punish the opposition for dumping every resource into killing one of your carries so that the other carry can live and hopefully, if you're on Rival, end up prospering.
So Vote chasing down with that ultimate. It's so interesting because he obviously trades himself out. But Team Rival don't get the EFG. They don't get the Fire Giant here. Worth it?
Yes, you can't let Arkyll off the hook when you see a free kill in that situation.
Right.
I don't think it's a guaranteed death every single time for Vote when using Mounted Archer. He even pulled up a little bit and did the little fadeaway to try and save himself. So
Try to get the Tokyo Drift.
Right, that's the best you can do in that position. I've got no problem with Vote's decision making to use that ultimate.
PandaCat. Also worth noting, PandaCat just had to land the long range knockup. So really good accuracy coming out from the mid lane to punish that. always interesting whenever the back line just surges forward, because I think, you know, Pittsburgh Knights did get punished for Vote's play, but as you said, if Arkyll's still up, that's probably the Fire Giant. So a trade out 1-for-1. And now another reset. Team Rival with a 24 rack. Pittsburgh Knights, bad luck 13. That's kind of the story of this one. Team Rival been partying while Pittsburgh Knights have not had their favorite game number 2 here in our set. And as we're 32 minutes in, Rival are positioning aggressively around the Fire Giant. They've been doing so all game, and they've been gifted for it.
They've got good ward coverage, though, and with this enhanced Fire Giant in Season 6, without a Primal Fury buff, it is nearly impossible to do this enhanced Fire Giant in the face of the enemy. I don't think that Rival has any. They've gotten a Gold Fury and an Oni Fury. I don't believe that a Primal has gone their way. You would really need that enhanced damage in order to take down this FG, and without it, and even if they only have one, I don't know that that's enough to burn through this with Pittsburgh Knights looming. Despite this game being in Rival's favor throughout, Pittsburgh Knights are one Deicide away from winning. If they fight for 0 Rival here, which is of course unlikely, but they could win still from this position in the blink of an eye.
Oh, absolutely. If you guys watched week number 1, if you watched the opening week, that's what happened to SK Gaming.
Yep.
So you definitely have to take it all the way to the end. Arkyll pops the ultimate as Deathwalker's in trouble. There's a nice hit, and the poison will spread. EmilZy in trouble as well, as one goes down already. Vote uses the horse to get on out of there. And the chase from Fino again is on the mark. EmilZy zoning out 2 separate players. Arkyll picks up adapting as Fineokay does get punished. It's a 4-on-3 though with Arkyll around. This could still be a Fire Giant attempt, and it will be. Look at those crits start swinging.
And I love that PandaCat's up here helping PBM, because you can't let Zyrhoes and EmilZy just walk in. Twig is tanky enough, and Arkyll's putting out enough that they can get this Fire Giant low, but not before EmilZy gets here.
PandaCat's got to use something to confirm. Rival do it anyway, and EmilZy falls down to the hand of CaptainTwig. Team Rival, 27 kills in total. 17 have the mark of Mr. Fineokay. By any metric, the MVP of this game for sure. Hell, even if Team Rival lose this one, he might be the best performing player on the field.
Definitely. I don't think there's really a whole lot of question. I didn't see where Deathwalker used the ultimate. I just know that it didn't land, or it got beads, and then that was what signaled go for Rival. That was their green light, and that's the perfect use of that Xbalanque ultimate. Let one person get a little bit too far forward, and then isolate the rest of the enemy in order to make sure that you can take them down quickly.
You know, we make fun of aggressive strategies a lot across different games, right? Hold W, just smork them. But at the end of the day, to just turn everything sideways, it's about, I keep mentioning it, the identification of the window of opportunity. And sometimes it's really huge. Well, we're 3 people surrounding one, use all your ults. But I think that's a prime example of showing just how difficult it can be to be pure aggressive.
A little worried about PandaCat's damage output potentially. We'll have to wait and see.
With the BP?
Yeah, he goes Breastplate of Valor early, and then now has sold his boots for that Magi's cloak with the Elixir of Speed. I assume he has. Though maybe, honestly, as Hobball, you can kind of get away without boots because you're so fast on the carpet.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say speed doesn't matter. You're just this blob of a threat of a tidal wave. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yeah, usually going literal with how the characters move doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
I'm coming. I'm coming. Here I am. Here I am.
Yeah, that's okay. That is a potential way to talk about this situation.
Well, no, he's riding on the alligator.
Right.
So he's coming down the mountain. See what happens. Left
You
side. I'm great. Just some Hebo. EmilZy on the other hand, not so much. Needs a little bit of help from his friends, and the Beatles don't want nothing.
Arkyll using that Darkest of Nights as a range extender on those auto attacks. Not always the primary application of that ultimate, but it worked that time.
Adapting, taking the one-on-one versus the jungler. Not going to die for it, but certainly not going to win. That said, CaptainTwig has brought Zyrhoes over here to the right-hand side. Forces the ultimate out. Dodges 1, dodges 2, dodges 3, and dodges 4. Team Rival shift over to the mid lane, and they're looking at a secondary Phoenix.
Twig just going to use that enhanced Fire Giant sustain to heal himself back up. BBM misses the hammer. Deathwalker still has that ultimate. Very patient with it this time around. A stark contrast to the beginning of the last team fight by fire.
That said, there's the green light. The dragon pushes forward. The attacks onto the Phoenix, and already it's turkey time. 2 birds down. And Pittsburgh Knights struggling to play defense. Deathwalker stuck, using the ultimate to get on out of there. And the right-hand side is the target one more time for Team Rival.
Adapting blinks in. Huge wind siphon for him, but just a little bit short on killing CaptainTwig. PandaCat has to use that ultimate defensively. Don't turn, you gotta run right now.
Yeah, just run. The slow button pressed by EmilZy. Gonna be immune by PandaCat, who gets the knockup. The turn could be here, but I think Fino and PolarBearMike are a little bit too low.
Uh-oh.
Here's help from Arkyll. Big crits. And again, PolarBearMike. Dude, just the amount of help from Team Rival. Couple of crits, a taunt, and Rival just get out of there.
Man.
That's the teamwork we were asking for.
There it is. It took them a little bit, but they're on the right track without a doubt. All 3 Phoenixes down now for the Pittsburgh Knights. And CaptainTwig did so much in that team fight. Just by splitting the map, it doesn't do a whole lot in terms of player damage. He forces adapting below half health and just plays really aggressively. And that chases adapting off mid-Phoenix. Twig got a lot of the mid-Phoenix HP down by himself. Then he forces the beads from adapting, forces the ultimate from adapting, forces the jump from Zyrhoes, pulls him away from the left side team fight, and forces his ultimate.
Yep.
And survives all of everything that I just said. That is a lot to contribute for your team.
And that right there, I know Twig himself has actually taken issue with some people calling him a setup man instead of a hard carry. Listen, he's 2-4-16, and that's how you carry the Phoenix Siege. You don't need to be the one with the big fat numbers. CaptainTwig got 3 Phoenixes for Team Rival.
That's pretty good. We take those for sure. Deathwalker has the sash. It's on the PBM, not exactly who he's looking for. EmilZy playing awfully aggressively. He needs help from Deathwalker, but I don't know that he can provide it.
It ain't coming. Another big stop coming out from Fineokay. He gets one while CaptainTwig gets the other. Deathwalker goes up, but I think he's going all the way down as Twiggy picks up a double kill. Arkyll, another one. 3 without a death. Give him the doubleune. It's an old-fashioned Deicide, and Team Rival are going to walk up mid and bring it to Game 3 tied up.
Love it. Love the way that Rival played this game. You think they're banning Serket this time around? Probably not, but Fineokay.
It's a conversation.
So impressive in this game, man. The off-meta sort of untraditional pick, and he absolutely dominated the early game with it.
Hey man, what's his video series? A to Z in the solo lane?
Eventually has to get to S.
There it is. CaptainTwig taking a much-needed break. And Mike, what I love about Mike right here...
It's the sleeve.
It's got to be the sleeve.
It's got to be the sleeve.
What I love about Mike right there, headset off, he smiles away from the camera, by the way. And then he turns around, right back to business, boys. We still got 2 more games to win, and I think that's the core of this Rival unit. The sleeve.
The sleeve. It's got to be the sleeve. I mean, there's no way it isn't the sleeve. That's what I'm saying.
You know, it's funny. We joke a little bit. It's the aggression. It's funny as hell. But actually, there is like a realness based in that. League player Afromoon plays with one, and he says it keeps his aim consistent.
Sure.
You're not buying it?
I mean, it keeps sweat off your hand.
There it is.
Makes your aim consistent.
Carmelo Anthony wears 2 of them.
Yeah, I don't know how. I never really liked that. I feel like you got to pick one or the other. I feel like the double sleeve is always a weird look.
Well, Rival pick W. Let's break it down a little bit on the desk.
Shooting sleeve tech pioneered by PolarBearMike. Nobody did it before him. Really, truly, he was the very first one. But a big win for Team Rival, pioneered largely, I would say, by Fineokay in the solo lane on this Serket. It really felt like through the first part of this game, he was willing it into existence that Rival would win a game.
Fineokay is tired of the L's, man. He's making magic happen all on his own. And I can honestly say the last thing I was expecting when that Serket pick came through was going to be the Serket in the solo lane. But man, did this work out so beautifully for Rival. Fineokay had such a heavy impact, and he pretty much took the Deathwalker strategy from game 1 of I'm never going to go to solo lane, I'm just going to roam the map and kill everybody, and then just like amplified it
Yeah, he was a jungler who built Guardian's Blessing that occasionally got some solo farm in the early game. Is how I would try and describe Fineokay's game to start things off. But he really was just the facilitator for this team. He never truly built any damage. We were talking about it at one point. He had like 25 total power from items, and it really was relying on this true damage from the Serket, the control that she provides to set up for PandaCat. And I think what it was is that, speaking of PandaCat, that they just had a better fight earlier on this game than they did in game 1, Taco. PandaCat on the hop wall was able to follow up on Fineokay's setup. CaptainTwig on the Erlong Shen looked great in the early game too.
And something that I actually really like that you brought up when we were watching this set is Arkyll with his crit builds. And the Pittsburgh Knights, they opted for this double assassin, really squishy base composition, and you know Arkyll is only ever going to buy crit when he plays a physical hunter. That is
right.
what he has done and been super consistent with all throughout every single match that Rival has played so far. And to take such a squishy comp, I think, was already a bit of a heavy-handed risk from the Knights, but I think EmilZy was also just made the focal point of the entire early to mid game, and oftentimes it was largely just because of the fact that EmilZy was probably just the only real target that Rival had to really capitalize and punish on.
He kept presenting himself as a target as he played the Achilles this time and Deathwalker played the Naja. I can see that it wasn't quite as impressive a game as you come to expect from him so far. So now it's time for Knights to go back to the drawing board. This felt like they took a slight step away from what it is that they normally like to do, where they weren't able to have control of the early game this time. It was Rival that had it. We're back to parity. It's essentially a best of 3 from this point. So maybe one round where they experimented a little bit, it didn't quite work.